Let's bring in Olivia Troye, former national security official for the Trump administration and now part of the newly announced Republicans for Harris group. And you have to add one of our favorites as well. So, Olivia, you're a lifelong Republican, but you have long distinguished yourself as not part of MAGA. And you say, quote, the stakes are too high to not speak out in this election. So tell us more, first of all, about Republicans for Harris and why you're a part of it.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me, Alex. It's always good to talk with you and converse with you. So this launched today. It's an initiative to grow this bipartisan coalition to support Kamala Harris and get her to victory. I think a lot of us lean conservative, as you know, and I think what is happening here with the Republican Party, we believe is dangerous and extreme. And I think we need to get back to the values of, observing the rule of law, of standing with our international allies and actually providing true leadership to the world, which is something that Kamala Harris has exhibited during the Biden administration. And I think we need to stand strong against another possibility of potentially having Donald Trump back in the presidency. And so our goal is to create this bridge to others. And my goal is to get out there and encourage conservative voters, Republicans, independents, to join the fold and stand strong against what this MAGA movement is right now and all it stands for.
Do you think there's safety in numbers? I mean, could this group inspire other prominent Republicans to come forward and endorse Kamala Harris? Do you think there are a lot of them out there that for fear of being singled out, targeted, verbally assaulted, bullied by Donald Trump, they have remained closed mouth or, even said something that may not be in their heart, actually, and support him?
Yes, absolutely. Look, it's no secret. I'm sure they have seen what's happened to people like me. People like, look at what's happening to Governor Kemp now by Donald Trump, right? And in true real time right now, what's happening, the way that Donald Trump is going after him. And so I think people think about what does that mean for death threats, which I've certainly been the recipient of, as so many others of us have. I think of people like Adam Kinzinger and what his family's come through, what it means for your stability, financial stability, job security, I would say. It impacts all of this. But I think at the end of the day, we need to all take a stand against the potential that this man could come back into office. I think this is extremely dangerous. And look, I think the coalition will grow. I'm having conversations with Republican voters who privately will tell me that they're very concerned. They're horrified about what's happening in the Republican Party. They're ashamed at what's happening about all these leaders that could make a difference falling back in line. And so I think that this coalition will grow. And you may not hear them. You may not hear them publicly, but I can tell you that behind closed doors, they're there. And look, one thing I tell people, your vote is private. You go in that voting booth and you vote your conscience, your morals, and your integrity, and think about the difference that can make. No one needs to know what happens behind that voting booth. It's between you and what your decision.
That's a good point. How about, since we're focusing on this, a VP candidate, is there one who you think could most appeal to Republicans and those Haley voters that may still be on the fence?
Well, I think given the narrowing field, I think they're all great candidates. I think, hoping for a moderate voice on the ticket that I think will be appealing to center right and the middle, which I do think is the main swing vote and will court those voters. Personally, I think highly of all of them. I will tell you, though, that I have seen Tim Walz in meetings against Trump. I have been in the room when he was there as a governor. I have seen him take him on firsthand when he was being bullied by Donald Trump. And I was very impressed with his demeanor and the way he behaved.
Okay, duly noted. So Republicans for Harris, we understand, is focusing on battleground Nikki Haley voters. So what needs to be done to win over these specific voters who, may be put off by Trump, but wary about voting for a Democrat, despite what you said that they can do when they go into the private polling booth?
I think this is, a critical time for our country. And I think we need to take a step back and say, Donald Trump does not represent true conservative Republican values. That party right now is nowhere in sight. I would say that to them. And I think we need to decide what kind of future do we want for America. And that moment is right now. What do you want to see at your kitchen table when you're sitting around? Do you want more divisiveness and anger? Do you want to be arguing with your neighbors, your friends? I think this is a moment to really actually stand by and unify so that we can get back to doing actual arguments on policy, right? And we can talk about taxes. And I'm a Republican because I believe in strong foreign policy. And I worked at the Department of Defense. I look at international relations and things like that. Right now, I would say that the last thing I want is a Trump presidency because I think all our international relations plummet under him. And so I'm asking conservatives to, yes, take a step back from the party identity. I know it's hard, but I think that we've got to chart a better path and a better way for our party. And by doing this, I think maybe we stand a chance of getting there someday. But right now, the choice is Kamala Harris.
Okay. Last quick question, considering you worked closely with former Vice President Mike Pence, who's not publicly endorsed Trump in his reelection, stayed out of the spotlight. What are the chances Pence ends up endorsing Harris? What do you think?
I don't know. That would be an amazing dream. And if he's, out there listening right now, I encourage you to do the right thing. Again, you've shown tremendous courage in the past. You know what's at stake more than anyone here, and your voice could make an enormous difference for conservatives across the country. And at the end of the day, this is about democracy, the ideals that the Republican Party has held in the past about individual liberties and freedoms. That's what Kamala Harris is trying to do here. She's trying to build that coalition so that we preserve those rights.
Okay. Speaking of courage, you've shown a lot of that for us. Olivia Troye, thank you so much, my friend. Good to see you.